Hey guys, welcome back. Robocraft Early Access coverage. This is episode 86. I'm Enigmius, and today, offensive presence. That's the theme, that's the topic. There's all kinds of things we can talk about, but I'm picking offensive presence because there was that common theme that I noticed in the matches that I've been playing today. Basically, offensive presence is what does the enemy think about your team? That's basically how you could kind of boil everything down to very simple terms. Can they see your team? Do they feel like they're in a bad position? Do they feel like they need to move in order to get a better position, either to defend themselves or to take an offensive position? How much of your team represents a threat and how much of it is just absent off somewhere that nobody really knows where they are, except they can look up at the roster and see that they're not dead yet? That's what it comes down to. Now this match, I'm doing my best to be patient and kind of hang back and not necessarily give myself away too early, but I happened to notice that the enemy flyers were coming up over that ridge, and I thought I'd do my team a solid by kind of cutting them off and suggesting to them that this is not the place that you want to go. A Jedi mind trick. This is not the route you're looking for. Offensive presence. I'm creating an offensive presence that would ideally, in a better situation, say to those guys up on that ridge, go away, go back, find another way. Unfortunately, my team, if you look dead ahead through the rotors there, is hiding behind the mountain in a medic circle jerk, and consequently we have no offensive presence. In fact, our offensive presence is so diminished that even though you can see most of my team up there, the enemy would rather shoot through them to me than worry about what those guys are doing over there. That's a lack of offensive presence. And it happens very, very often. And it happens when people feel like they've taken too much damage. They gotta hang back. They might get blown up. There's all kinds of reasons why people might detach from the action and kind of sit off in the middle of nowhere. At this point, the outcome for me is not very good. There's this drone basically just sitting there above us. I can't shoot at him because all of my plasma cannons are on the underside, and he's just basically shooting down on me. He's got my rotors, and then it was just a matter of time before he dug through the chassis, because there's no way a medic could keep up on a bot the size of the flying squirrel. It's just not reasonable. So then this match, I see this behemoth parked in front of me, and all I can think to myself as I'm looking at this thing is that, you know, that's a pretty beefy looking megabot. It's got lots of guns. It's got lots of blocks. I don't know if it's hollow, which is one of those things that is kind of significant in terms of whether or not it's going to survive for any length of time. If it's hollow, it's probably not going to live for very long. But if it's a solid construction, it's a brick. And you know, I poke fun at bricks from time to time because of their lack of creativity in their construction, but at the same time you have to recognize that they can be very, very robust bots and very difficult to dig through. So once again, I kind of get this idea that I want to hang back a little bit. I want to watch things as they unfold because I'm fast enough that I can relocate and adapt to the situation. I can respond to things faster and easier than, say, a ground bot because of the whole flying things. It's still, people like to downplay the benefit of flying. People not having much success with copters, saying that the rotor blades are too weak, they don't have enough lift, they don't do this, they don't do that, really like to downplay the benefit that flight offers. When you've got controlled flight where you can just kind of sit here in the air and then move in any direction you want, it's a big deal. Tactically, that's huge. But for some reason, I decided that I didn't trust the other teammates in the air, down there in the left or coming around the corner, down the middle, to deal with these enemy flyers. So I paused for a moment to see what I could do. It's kind of futile. Shooting at flyers from this distance with plasma cannons is really not the smartest thing that I've done today, I can tell you that. But we all do silly things like that from time to time. I get back to the action down here, and I'm just kind of watching to see what the enemy is doing, what our guys are doing, what makes sense to be shooting at, what makes sense to be avoiding. Am I overexposed? Am I in a good position where I can kind of shoot and the enemy's not really paying attention? I got a plasma bot down on the ground shooting up at me, which suggested to me that I should pull back a little bit, and then I ended up with an SMG shooting at me a little bit. The plasma there, he's shooting again, which again implies a lack of an offensive presence. We've lost our brick megabot. He's gone, fell into a chasm somewhere, got eaten by rabbits. I don't know, but he's dead. He's gone. And the rest of our team has decided that they're going to push around through the cave towards the enemy base. Hey, 85. Yeah, right. That's exciting. And at this point, I'm just, like, there's absolutely no point in me hanging out, waiting for these guys to come around any further, because I'm the only one back there, really. And I'm looking as I'm flying over, and I'm seeing, well, there's a bot, there's a bot, there's a bot, there's a bot. Like, all the friendly bots just completely avoided the entire goddamn fight, went around through the cave, and they're still not even capping. They're nowhere near close enough to start capping. And finally, when they start capping, the enemy that stopped to kill our Megabot and all the other bots that were with him gets to our base almost as fast. So the guys who avoided everything went for a Sunday stroll. The enemy playing with a little bit of aggression, a little bit of thought, moving forward. And the only way we're going to win now is if we interrupt them and prevent them from beating us at the cap, because there's no way we have the fighting strength to go kill them all, and I'm definitely not going to be able to kill them all, but I'm feeling right now, like, literally these few seconds, like, I need to push forward and be a little more aggressive, or I'm not going to be able to get any interrupts that would prevent these guys from capping. So I get close enough so that I can actually see where the bots are that are on our circle, and I'm just worried about getting the interrupts. I'm not necessarily worried about protecting my bot. You can see some of the connections on the rear tier 10 rotor blade are kind of broken, but we're still hanging on. We've got 2 more that work. It's just interrupts. I don't care about killing anybody. We just want to interrupt, and it works. So the one bot kind of pushes back and keeps the interrupts going. The other guys kind of, you can't really be overly critical of them because we won, and we won because they capped, but not necessarily the most entertaining kind of match when you lose basically 3/4 of a match because half your team decided to bugger off around the other side and take their time doing it. So now this match is on a map that can be kind of a pain in the ass, but it's not as bad as the one where you go down into the middle of it, it's a big depression, and then it's got all the rock ceilings in it. That one is probably my least favorite for any kind of flying bot. But again, hanging back, trying to, get some shots on some targets early, but at the same time not necessarily announcing my presence to the enemy team any more than I absolutely have to, and waiting to see what my team does. We've got, as you can see, some guys going through the cave on the right. We've got some guys going up the middle. One guy just drove off the cliff backwards. And then this guy is potentially going to try and cause some problems. He looks like the drone that killed me in the other match. It's just this thing. It's just this flying thing. You can't even... I don't even know what to call it. Brick, cube, toaster, whatever. Doesn't matter. And the best thing is my team is at least, doing a pretty good job of chipping away at him, and he's just kind of gone off into the distance. And I was about to pull up and try and get some fire support from my enemy team, and I see this copter. And I think, oh, really, Mr. Copter? It's you and me. And then he gets a good shot and kind of reduces my lift capacity somewhat, but not tremendously. I got a shot on him, and now basically if I could have stayed above him, I would have had him dead to rights because he wouldn't be able to shoot up and hit me. Unfortunately, the game at this point decided that it wanted to remind me how the ceiling mechanic works, in the sense that if your bot is struggling to generate enough lift to keep going, as soon as you hit that ceiling, you just fall like a rock. You just boom, down to the bottom, and then you go back up again. Clearly you had enough lift to raise your bot back up, and then you just fall again. And it's the most ridiculous thing. And now it's over. I mean, I'm not in a position where I can rotate my bot over and go into turret mode. There's really not much that I can do. And as I'm doing this, I'm just kind of like shaking my head, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to lose this fight because the game mechanic keeps pushing me down to the ground even though I have enough lift to stay airborne. That's kind of crappy. But what can you do? I mean, it was basically a head-to-head, and this guy came out the winner. So good for him. Congratulations, whoever you are. And then we get this. And this was kind of my last match for the day, because I'd had enough of Megabots in Tier 10. I swear. What an awful goddamn decision it was to put Megabots in Tier 10. It's an art bot, and it's really difficult to see from here, but he's basically made like a little air strip for helicopters. Not a strip, but you get, it's like there's like building on there, and then there's like a platform around the building, and he's got little window things that look like little helicopters, but they've got TX1 SMGs on them. And I don't think this guy's going to be around at the 2-minute mark. I think that's about his lifespan in this match, is 2 minutes or less. I appreciate that people like to build things and be creative and do things that are interesting. I wish there was maybe a class of match where just all art bots could go and compete against other art bots. When you create a situation in the game with the mechanics that put so much emphasis on a functional megabot, and you've got this art bot that can barely, from the looks of things, hold its own against a tier 10 bot, and that's supposed to be the linchpin for the entire match. That's supposed to be the central focus. And I know it's not because that's what the devs have said, but that's the way it plays out. If you abandon your megabot to themselves, they basically get creamed, and then if the other team is any good, their megabot just kind of follows around with 2 or 3 medics healing them, and it's GG for everyone who kind of stumbles into their path. Just not the ideal situation to make one person on each team so important, I don't think, especially when you're not given the opportunity to opt out, as it were. So now here's the case where we've got our guys. I don't know what the hell is going on with these people going up the middle today. All down there. You see the medic circle jerk. That kind of explains half of it. They're not really in a position where they can engage the enemy very well. The enemy's got cover for days. The enemy on that ridge coming down where you can see them now has got cover wherever they want it. They basically peek up, lob crap, come back down, wait for the 3% healing that they need to be topped up back to 100%. And meanwhile, our guys are down there just getting their butts reamed for no reason other than the fact that they don't know what the hell they're doing. So I'm taking fire from this SMG hover over there that has parked basically up there. I was so upset that I missed that because I had projectiles went under him, projectiles went over him. You see the red laser, the railgun, he's going to start shooting. And I'm just thinking to myself, offensive presence. Where was our team? What were they doing? Nowhere. They were nowhere. They were off in some corner somewhere, split in half, accomplishing approximately nothing. Offensive presence. Something to think about as you're playing, wondering what am I doing and why. That'll be it for this episode. We're saving up to start the Panther Bee builds all over again. In the meantime, we'll be doing match footage. So subscribe or something so you can be notified when I add new videos and you can watch them, and then we'll build Panther Bee and do some guides. It'll be awesome.